Alright, what is a square root? What does it mean? A square root is really a question. When you look at the expression, the square root of 4, the question that is being asked is, what number, when used as a factor twice, equals 4? When we do a square root, one of the things that we don't put in that we could is the root symbol. And usually, if we were to put the root symbol in, we would put a 2 here. This 2 tells us that we're looking for a factor used twice. And what we're trying to equal is the number inside this symbol. This symbol right here is called a radical sign. Radical sign. And usually what you do is I make a check and put 2 tails on it. There's the radical sign. The number inside, this number right here, that's inside, so the 4 is what we call, there's a name given to it, it's called the radicand. And then finally, the number that is outside, this number right here, is called the root. So the little 2 is called the root. So when you ask the question, what number, when used as a factor twice, equals 4, this is how you pose it. You're saying, well, what times itself equals 4? What times itself equals 4? So what are we going to replace x with in this case? Well, the answer would be 2. X would be equal to 2. So when you answer the question, what is the square root of 4? The response is 2. Now I could ask a different question. I could ask, what is the cube root of 27? So the question that's being asked here is, the question that's being asked here is, what number used as a factor 3 times equals 27? And if you were to look at the question to that, so pose it again in terms of more of a visual. So let's try that again. What times itself 3 times equals 27? Well, in this case, x is equal to 3, because we know 3 times 3 equals 9, and then when we take 9 and multiply it by 3 again, we get 27. So the answer to this equals 3. Alright, so that's what a square root, that's what roots are basically, they are questions, they are answers to questions dealing with number of times used as a factor equal to the number inside, which in this case is a radicand. Now, if I asked you that same question, but instead of a number, used a variable, right? Let's take a space here and work with it. Erase this spot here. So if I asked you, gee, what is the square root of x squared? Well, gee, what could I multiply by itself twice, use as a factor twice, to equal x squared? Well, by definition, x squared is x times x. So the answer to this question would simply be x, right? X squared is equal to x times x. So what could I use as a factor twice to get x squared? It would be x. What if I asked you for the square root of x to the fourth? Well, x to the fourth, think about this, that's using x as a factor 4 times. Once, twice, 3, 4. Well, this is the same as, here's twice, here's twice. So in effect we have x squared times x squared. Well, what's used as a factor twice to get x to the fourth? The answer would be x squared. So again, what is a square root? It's a question. What does it ask? It asks, what do I multiply by itself, or what do I use as a factor twice to get the thing inside the radical sign? Okay, that's the answer.